Hello, my name is Gunnar von Böhn from the Apollo team, and you are listening to the Scene World podcast.
It's the Scene World podcast, and my name is AJ, and his name is Jörg.
So, in a minute, we talk to Lucas Lund to talk about a novel based on a novel, the detective game.
The detective game, yes.
And the novel is the detective game novel. Yeah.
Which Jörg mentioned is a novel based on a game, which is based on a novel.
Is that actually true?
No, I don't think that's actually true. I think we're just so it's the detective game. So I think that the game
is not based on a novel.
It's not based on a novel, but it is the game runs as a novel, kind of like an interactive novel. So the novel based on that game, which is in itself sort of a novel, is I mean there's a couple of different layers of what's happening in this. But we'll get to that in a minute when we speak to.
Yeah, just reading it, the game is not based on a novel.
Yeah. But the novel is based on the game.
Right. So the detective novel is a novel that will be based on the game.
Yes.
And it will come out in Swedish first and afterwards in English. And the game is from Sam Manthorpe.
Yes.
And was published by Argus Press Software in '86.
Yes.
Just for the reference.
And none of us have heard of it.
Right.
So
that was the North America release. In Europe, it was also released.
Yeah.
So
it was released. It's just that none of us ran across it. It's one of those obscure games, which I hope to be exploring a little bit more in some other stuff that we won't tease too much.
Right. The way I heard about it was that Lucas Lund liked our posts on Instagram, our photos, and he used the detective novel account for it. And was like, the detective novel? That sounds interesting. So I was checking him out and invited him for an interview.
Yes.
And this is this interview. But before we go there, let's talk to the news.
Yes, I'm gonna go first because yours is a little my news is a little headier than yours, I think.
Right.
Little later on the subject. Our very own Nick Vivid has an album that is coming out on I already lost the thing. He's got an album called No More Secrets that's coming out on November 11th, 2021. That's this year. That's in just a couple of weeks, honestly. There's already a couple of videos out for some of the singles trainers. And there's another one that's out. I can't think of what it is though, but you should check out Trainers because the video he coded it all on the 64. So when you watch it, like the it's synced perfectly to the music. It's a little dude running around, a little computer Nick Vivid running down the streets of New York, I guess, and doing this thing. And it's really well done. There's even a behind the scenes look at how he did it in a certain number of lines of code and whatnot. So I can say, he may be on hiatus from the scene, but he definitely hasn't dropped his 64 roots yet.
Right.
And plus the album is just a fucking banger. So everyone go check it out.
Nice.
We'll probably put a link and maybe a little, we'll play something above that here.
Sure.
So they can see.
Yep.
So yeah, it's nickvivid.com. Go check it out.
Right. Well, my part of the news, we should start with explaining that a while ago we had this tour of the Digital Retro Park, the computer museum
which
in
was awesome.
Offenbach, Germany. Yeah,
one of my favorite podcasts.
AJ liked it a lot,
It was right in the middle of the pandemic, and it was like the first time we were able to go somewhere, because like aside from just working home, and you've just pretty much home, it's like we don't go anywhere, and it's like being able to take them. They took us through the park and showed us everything, and it was like, oh, this is. At the time, I remember saying we need to do more of this with other museums because that's what people need right now, and I don't think we ever did. But
that's basically the reason, because when we interviewed museums, it was mostly about them closing, and looking for money. So that's basically it. And by the time as we record this, there have been some museums and collections closing down due to the pandemic. So and the vice president, Thomas Dutton, aka Muck, was the one that had the idea that I approached Stefan Pitsch, who is the president, and Falk Heinzelmann, and invite them to the podcast. So that was very nice of him, because Thomas wasn't really into speaking English and stuff, so he kept more in the background.
They never.
But unfortunately, pardon?
Nobody wants to speak English with us.
Yeah.
But that's.
Yeah. Anyway, Thomas unfortunately died a few days ago. Not of COVID, that I can say, and he was also the person that was very active on other clubs. For example, the For Muslim Only that we interviewed a couple of years ago, and also HomeCon, which is the I think the other word for club would be association, right? Yes. Yeah. Of HomeCon, which is a user meeting of around 50 people in Hanau, Germany. So it's all in the same area, all neighbor cities. And also Thomas was the one that on events always had a photo camera with him, a DLR, and making photos. So most of those photos on my Facebook feed were actually taken by him.
Yeah, most of the pictures that have you in them.
Right.
Specifically.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And also his photo was used on the Superstars of 2015 by Walter Day's trading card collection to honor my part with Scene World participating in the retro history.
Right.
And the arcade history. So thanks for giving me the permission, Thomas. So it's very sad, and he is very much missed by the German retro scene in particular.
Yeah.
It's I didn't expect back then in March 2020, when the pandemic started, that on this open Saturday of the For Muslim Only, it would be the last time to see him.
Yeah.
Right. So thanks for spending the time with me while you were still around, and rest in peace. That's all I can say.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always sad to lose one of our own.
True. Especially if it's some person you hung around with a couple of times.
Yeah.
For 10 years in your personal life, like I did.
Absolutely.
Right. But we also have other news that are a bit more lighthearted.
We do.
And for example, there is somebody that calls himself Benny SNS Dev, and he released a new game for the SNES called True Instinct. And True Instinct is pretty much like Rock and Roll by Rainbow Arts. That was released on the Amiga and converted to the Z64 by Hans Ippisch, by the way. It was originally created by by Rainbow Arts for the Amiga and was then converted by Hans Ippisch to the D64.
Interesting.
And in the historical interview I did with Hans a while ago, he mentioned that it was very hard to make it, fluent and looking and feeling good on the Commodore 64.
Oh yeah,
because obviously the Amiga version is a lot. The Amiga is a lot more powerful than the 8-bit C64.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, and
I don't know how much more powerful it is. I think it's got some extra colors and stuff. It is 16-bit. I think its main thing, if the 64 had been given a blitter, I think it could have kept up with the Amiga, and that's pretty much what the 65, the Commodore 65 did, was add a blitter to the 64 and turn it into this thing that, and one of the reasons it was discontinued or not finished or not deprototyped was because it was taking a bite out of Amiga. It was getting too close to what they were doing there.
Well, and last news I have is there is a new game by Richard Bayless in cooperation with Splatoon, and that would be Rocket Away 2.
Ooh, Richard Bayless.
Yep.
Rocket Away 2.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that would be it. That would be all the news that we have. So let's jump to Lucas Lund and talk about the detective novel.
Yes, let's do that.
Okay, bye-bye.
Pachow.
Today, we are having another guest again, as in every episode, and this time
you're acting like that's a new, like having a guest is a new thing.
Right, and this time it's actually Lucas Lund from Sweden. Hi. And interesting story here is I found you because you found us first on Instagram and liked one of our last interviews, the one with Mr. Awesome, and I was like, look at this guy's profile. He's writing a novel out of a video game.
Yes, that's special, isn't it?
Yeah, it usually goes the other way around, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think the most common thing is that you make a video game from a movie or maybe a book as well.
Right.
Like The Hobbit and so on. But yeah,
it's interestingly, it's a not so much known jewel in game history for the Commodore 64, at least for AJ and me. We never heard of it before. It's the detective game.
Yeah.
The detective game. Yeah.
Exactly. So perhaps let's start with the early beginnings. How did it actually happen that you got in touch with computers, electronics, your Commodore 64, and finally the idea of making a novel?
Oh, this is a long story, but you have time, right?
Yeah, we have time.
Yeah.
AJ has an hour and I have unlimited time.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I think it was in the mid-1980s when I first encountered a Commodore 64 at my cousin's place. And I saw this first game. It was, I think it was Exploding Fist, the karate game.
Oh.
And I was left alone for a while with this computer, and I played the Gyrus. You move around in a circle with a space shuttle and shooting like a space.
Gyrus.
Gyrus, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So that was my first experience of this computer, and I really got stuck to it.
Yeah.
And just a little bit later, we got the computer from our parents. My brother, who's 5 years older than me, got this computer. So we had it in our home, and that was the start for me to play games on the Commodore 64.
Interesting. You said in the 90s, so you actually came quite towards the end of the lifetime of the Commodore 64.
No, it was in the mid-1980s.
Oh, sorry, I misunderstood. Okay, 1980s. Okay.
Yeah, so I think 1986 we got this computer.
Okay.
And I was at that time 10 years old. My brother was 15. And just a year later, he wanted a stereo with cassette player and such things. And I got the computer in my room instead. And from that moment on, I was totally lost into computers, I would say. And I got more and more games from friends, and you copied games from each other, and we were playing games in our bedrooms. And
of course, yeah.
Thinking about that time, I must have spent so many hours with this computer. But it lasted only a couple of years, because in late 1988 or early 89, we sold this computer to buy an Amiga instead.
Of course.
So, yeah. But I missed some of those games. I really did. They were not the same on the Amiga. Even if the graphics were better and the sounds were better and music, there were some games that really didn't reach the level they had on the C64, actually.
Mm-hmm.
To mention, for example, Whizball. You played the Whizball?
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah. The music in Whizball, I think it was really good.
Right.
And it wasn't the same on the Amiga.
Right.
Yeah. The Polar sound chip is hard to compare with the SID chip, actually. That's true.
Well, because the SID chip has such, what you're getting from the SID chip, whereas this Paula can do a lot of different things, and it's not always going to sound the same, whereas the SID is like, you hear it and it's instantly like, that's the SID.
Yeah.
Right.
The SID chip has a personality, for sure.
Yeah.
For
right.
Sure.
Right. Yeah.
So that was the end of the C64 era, except for my friends that still had this computer. So I could still play the C64 games, but not at home anymore. But as time went by, and I switched from Amiga 500 to 1200, the 32-bit machine, and I did have an Amiga for a long time until it broke down, actually. And then I repaired it to write my university thesis on it, and used CrossDOS to export text from Amiga to PC and so on. But during the years, this game, the detective game, to get back to that one, I had it in mind and wondered how could I solve this game? I did never solve it. I played it so many times. I bought papers, computer magazines at the time, to find tips and tricks and how to get the evidence in, because there are 10 evidence. You need to collect all of them, and then they reveal the killer. And maybe I got 6 or 7. I couldn't get any more. And I read these magazines just to find evidence or any tips to find more, but I couldn't. I always got shot in the end of the game. So I tried so many things, many versions of. Yeah, have you seen the ending of this game?
No, never actually.
Honestly, I've never heard of it until now.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, detective game. There was a detective game, because I was thinking of Cluedo. You know.
Yeah. I thought it too. Like Clue, like it sounds a lot like Clue, where you've got to.
Right. Yeah. In German we call it Cluedo. In English it's called Clue. Right.
Mm-hmm. Right. But that's not what it is at all.
Right.
No. You have actually 140 minutes to solve this case.
That is why I read in the comments of Lemon 64 that people say I always got shot when the light got black or something. The light turned out. So you have after the minutes run out, the light goes off and you get shot or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
You hear 3 shots and the light goes back and he is lying on the ground dead. So of course, I tried so many tricks to hide in different rooms or to wear a gun and such, but I never make it. And the thing is that maybe I've seen it on the internet as well, but there is a bug in this game. So you cannot find all evidence. They are usually marked with an E as in evidence. 6 or 7, I think 7 of them are marked with an E, and a bug is making them, the last 3 ones, missing this E.
Oh.
Wow.
But if you find them, and if you put them in the padded envelopes, and if you point out the correct killer, you will solve the case anyway. So,
do we know if that is a bug or is it just to make it harder from the programmers?
I think there was, as far as I know, only one programmer, and that was Sam Manthorpe.
Right, yeah. I actually read he did everything. It was like a one-man job, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was credited for everything, yeah. So probably he didn't have access to a lot of beta testers and stuff to actually look out for bugs.
Yeah, he says laughing that there was no Q&A at that time. We didn't quality test it. So he did all of it by himself. And I think if you have a limited amount of time, and sometime you have to release the game anyway. But today, I think it's a bit of the charm of this game. You can still make it, but it's tough. And I think he also thought that it's too tough to make this game. But the funniest thing is he has found the walkthroughs on the internet, and people spend time
Long play
as well.
Yeah, nowadays you just go on YouTube like bam. Here we go. I actually saw you got a bit of fame there. You got mentioned in an article on Retro Gamer.
Yeah, correct. I did actually search for Sam. I wanted to ask him if I may write a novel based on his game, and I wanted some answers of my questions. So I got the tip through a forum to contact the writer of an earlier article about another game by Sam. So when I got hold of him, of Paul, it took just a few days to be in contact with Sam, and then I could give him all my questions and
wow.
So that was very special. And you've seen maybe these figures from the game as well as in the paper from.
Yeah.
It's just for fun, making some stuff.
Yeah. So actually, you got a little piece in that article because you told me when we spoke briefly that the author of the article liked your book ideas so much that he wanted to make it a piece in Retro Gamer. Perhaps tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, it's like you said. He thought it was a very good idea to very unique idea as you think as well, writing a novel based on a game, and he wanted a box out about this book connected to the article. So if I wouldn't have asked him about contact with the programmer, maybe he wouldn't have written this article. So it was a cooperation, you could say.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
But anyway, as said, I had this game in mind, and when I was younger, I was reading a lot, and I was thinking about writing something when I got older. And at that time, I was more into theology and philosophy and such things. And I wanted to write something from start to end and publish it through a regular publisher.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started writing, it was something else. It became science fiction, a classic science fiction. And I started writing it, I think it was 2007, and I published it under my own brand, 2018. And in that book, I use some scenes in a big house. And in this big house, you have some hidden passages. And that I got the inspiration from, actually, I'm nearly 100% sure, from the detective game, because there are some hidden passages from there.
Mm.
And when I was about to write the next book, I was thinking about doing something completely different. Maybe something to the crime novel genre. And I just had one idea. Maybe I should base it on the detective game. Because when I found this solution on the internet, on YouTube, I got kind of surprised in a positive way. So it has been here in my mind all the time, and now it was something I had to do something about it.
Wow. So you mentioned writing books before. Is that kind of your passion, occupation, or just a hobby?
Just a hobby. Yeah.
Okay, you are not a professional book writer, novel writer, or something.
No,
because that would be interesting. That would be interesting.
Anyone that writes is a professional writer. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
That depends. That depends. There are some people that write so badly because of so many grammar and.
I'm aware of those people. Yes, yes. We know who you're talking about.
and like. How can you actually read this book? And here's an interesting thing. I mean, the demo scene always had like special books or something. And in the last couple of 10 years, I think, there were a lot of projects like Kickstarters, like translating this Swedish book into English. And it would like take like 10 years till somebody actually got the idea and the resources and the Kickstarter. And what I found interesting about your Instagram is you actually mentioned there already release dates for approximately release dates for the Swedish and for the English version. So you already have that in your mind to go international.
Yeah, I do, but sometimes life comes across or comes in the way of your plan. So maybe I have to push it until next year. But I can say this much, that the manuscript is 100% done. So what I'm doing now is that I'm editing the text. So you want it in a readable state, of course. Things should stick together in a good way. You should have a fluent language. You shouldn't find the one evidence twice, and you want to follow the characters. They should develop during this story, and that is also important to me, because the reason why I opened this account on Instagram, it's very anonymous. You don't know that it's me behind it. You only know that it's the detective and this game.
Well, they know now.
Now it's changed.
They know now. And through Retro Gamer, and it's okay. I'm fine with that. But I wanted to see if somebody's interested in this connection, and obviously there are some people interested in this connection.
Well, I have to say, since we have our latest team member that's taking care of the PR things, I can do other stuff like looking who's our followers and stuff, because now I have more time, and then like, wow, let's write to this person, because I found that in one photo there's actually a tree of communication, a communication tree where somebody asked you questions and you explained the whole idea behind the novel and stuff. I was like, wow, he's pretty open and frankly about his idea. So thanks to that comment train, I was aware of what you're actually doing, because the Instagram alone, the pictures alone, don't give much hints.
No. That's correct, but my ambition is to not to publish it as a novel based on a game. Really, I want everybody to be able to read it. If you like, for example, Agatha Christie or any other mystery crime novel, I hope you will like this one as well. It's like in the game. It's 1974, and this detective comes to the house. You don't know why in the game, but from my side, I want to enrich this whole story. I want to use what you can find in the game, but I want to explain it as well. So you get the characters from the game into this novel. You get the plot as well. I switch some murders or something, but you can also, this detective also find some of the evidence you can find in the book also.
Okay, so it has some spoiler alerts, but not too much that you can't enjoy the game anymore afterwards, after you read the book.
No. I don't think so. But you never know. But the thing is, if you've never played the game, but you read the books first, I hope that you recognize the detective and the characters, and think, wow, this is a funny thing. They are actually all here. But I added some characters as well. I have, because they are quite few, and nearly half of them die in the game. So in 2 hours.
Wow. Yeah. So I wonder. You said you asked for permission. Did that actually change about your projects? Does it make it more real to the game, or in which way is the?
How does the developer feel about this?
Exactly.
His game being turned into a book.
I think it was quite surprised in a good way that somebody wants to use what he did for so long time ago. It's 35 years ago it was published, and people still have questions for him, and they still say to him that more than 30 years later, I still get questions about this game. So he's quite surprised about it, and he has seen also the videos on YouTube and the walkthroughs. We had some contact now and then. I update him where I am at the moment and so. And I will inform about this video as well.
Wow! Yeah. So perhaps that is somebody we could interview in our historical series at some point in the future. Let's see. So in which is he involved in any way in this production or story of the book? Is there some direct involvement, or does he have does he has a cameo role or anything like that you can share that is not spoiling the enjoyment of the book, perhaps?
No, he's not involved in that way. I said I had some questions to him when I started this project, and after that I felt quite free to develop the story in the way I wanted, because there were not so much more background else than what you actually find in the game and on the rear cover of this game, the original game. So with that, I felt that I could add some more information in the way I like. And the thing is that the game itself, what I do base much of what I write about in the game is based on how did I feel at that time when I was a kid, playing the game, the atmosphere, how did I react to what was happening in the game. And I wanted to involve it in this novel, the atmosphere, the weather. It's a stormy it's a thunderstorm outside and rainy and quite dark, and that's I wanted to put that into the novel. So the 11 or 12-year me and the grown-up me and some more information from the programmer, it's involved. I hope in a good mix.
But we have to point out that you actually are lucky to be in Sweden, because I noticed that myself when I was in Sweden in 2005, that you don't have a translation industry like we have here in Germany, where everything is translated and synchronized into German. So when I was 12, I knew nothing about English. I was just a starter at 5th class in primary school. That is how we started. So as a kid, I didn't know more than start, continue, game over, and that's what I needed to know. And actually, just as an adult, I figured out that all those Mario games have a story, because nobody of my family was trying or fluent enough in English to sit there with me in front of the TV and explaining, yeah, the princess was kidnapped and Mario is now with Yoshi and trying to rescue them. So in Sweden there is no such industry like in same actually in the Netherlands, Norway, and other countries. So even as a small child or youngster or teenager, you were pretty fluent in English, I guess. So you were probably part of the same audience like AJ, who is a native English speaker from America. But here in Germany, I don't see myself playing that game at the same age.
I think I had some difficulties actually at this time. It was mid 1980s, and I think in school we started with English, and when we were 9 or 10 years old or so. So I did have quite many problems with the English at that time. But I think that age, our generation, we got much English from the games actually. So together with the movies, of course, also.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't have that movies. We didn't have English movies. English movies here in the cinema just started with Avatar in 2010.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And before
I'm so sorry that you had to watch Avatar in English.
Yeah, well, I mean,
that you had to watch Avatar at all.
In 2010, it was the first time in my city I saw a movie like OV. Like what does it mean, OV? Yeah, original version. Like, oh my God, really? So that was the first time, because Avatar, because of the 3D effect, was such a hit that they actually released it in English. And starting with that movie, every movie that was bigger after that is also available in cinemas in English. But of course, for a premium price. They always add something on top because it's English, you know. But now we have the choice. So before that, before 2010, everything was German. I remember getting my first Harry Potter book in 2001. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. That was so expensive. Oh my God, you know, because the library had to import it, you know, and stuff like. Yeah, was pretty rough here in Germany, and still us Germans, we are not known for our fluency in English. So,
but it has become much better than, for example, 15 years ago.
That's true. That's true. But the only way I played adventure games on the Commodore 64 was because Lucasfilm Games, later on LucasArts, actually produced German versions of Maniac Mansion and Zack McCracken.
Okay.
And that is why. And we actually had an interview with David Fox, and he told us that the German versions actually sold better than the English ones.
You remember playing the Japanese version of Maniac Mansion and failing miserably because we couldn't figure out what anything meant.
Yeah, right. So
like we've played this game a dozen times. These are where the words are supposed to be, but when you click on it, that's not what happens.
Yeah,
if something's not right.
Yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to point out that the fact that you are living in Sweden and had easier access or earlier access to English at your age makes such a big difference. I mean, when did I start learning English? When I was 13 or something. Before that, nah.
There's a lot, especially with old games, that you kind of that you could benefit from. And I was going to pull out. Hang on a second while I stand up.
Okay.
This is my headphones are long enough. This is my original Space Rogue box.
Oh,
one of my favorite games in the world. But it comes with, this is in the age of swag, so you got your star map and stuff. But like, so much of it was like the owner's manual to your ship.
Right.
You know? And again, it's all with they put, you know, they put notes in the printing and stuff and all kinds of, you know, cup stains and hand marks and stuff.
Yeah.
And this particular thing came with a like, instead of doing like the background in the game showing you, bringing you up to speed, it was a book. You had to read a a 16-page novella to get up to speed on where you are in the actual book or in the actual game. Without this, you kind of like, what am I doing? Why am I here? What's going on?
Yeah, it gives you a reason also to buy the game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
And you get some extra. You don't
Right.
want to buy it just because you want to play it. You get some extras and you get some background and a bigger experience. Yeah.
I miss those games. Those days of getting swag with your games.
Right. Here in Germany, however, there was when Flight Simulator 2 was released in '84, we got the whole manual, which was the big book, was completely translated into German.
Oh,
and
really?
They actually put a sticker on it on the box, like completely translated into German. So
nice.
So for the German market, they had to really do a lot to make.
Did you get the accurate aeronautical maps as well?
Nah.
Pardon?
No.
We got in the US version anyway. The Flight Simulator 2 came with like aeronautical maps, like actual like of the regions that you can fly in that were accurate for the time. You know, I mean, these things, a lot of these airports don't exist anymore.
No, they left that out for the German version. I have.
How do you know where you're going then?
Well, anyway, I don't know if the detective game had such bonuses in the box, but I guess rather not. If you say you were totally clueless, then I guess not much was inside your box.
Actually, I don't know because I didn't have. I have to admit, I had the turbo version cassette.
Yeah.
I cracked.
but I guess nowadays you got your copy of eBay, right? I mean, hey, you should.
I'm still searching for it. I am. I want the original.
It's one of such games that are hard to find, right?
Yeah.
Because I had the same issue with Space Taxi, and that took me like 12 years to find it. Self-made games by one person without a big publisher really didn't make too much numbers back in the 80s even. That's really a big thing.
Yeah.
Interesting.
About the game, there's actually a clone made for Nintendo DS of the detective game. Yeah.
In 2009, I think.
Pardon?
I think it was in 2009.
Yeah.
The same year that Avatar came out.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Here in Germany, it came 2010, but probably because they had to translate it into to German. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
So there are people more than me that has been inspired by the game, and I think that's pretty well done because you get more or less the same game but updated to another graphics. You can move into more rooms and such.
Right.
But it wasn't a licensed game, or was it?
No, it was. I think it was for free download.
Ah, interesting. Yeah. Yeah, it's a thing. I mean, that is something we have here very often when we talk to people. Most people don't ask for permission or have licenses or stuff. Many people do without it. So I'm very happy to hear that you went the different path, and it was important for you to get some background information from the coder, from the creator of the game, getting permission and stuff. Did you have a backup plan in case he says no?
Sorry?
I mean, did you have a backup plan in case he said no? He said like, I'm not supporting you.
I would probably I wouldn't write it.
Really?
If he would say please don't, I wouldn't have, because I was a little bit I was not so sure from the beginning if I should write it or not. I spoke to a journalist at the paper, and he said that well, if you're into science fiction, stick to the genre. Don't switch to another thing. And some people shouldn't. They should stick to the genre, to this specific theme. Now, my first book. That was for my first book, science fiction. And who knows? Maybe I'm a better writer when writing a crime novel. So I want to try, and since it's a hobby, I still think I should do what I like the most. To me, it's important to keep up the interest for what I'm doing.
Yeah,
especially if I spend late nights and vacations and strange occasions during the day. I want to keep the interest up. So
right.
Yeah, and I like the game, of course. But if he would say no, I wouldn't have done it.
Interesting.
Right.
So it's that important for you what the author of the game thinks about your idea. Interesting. How about family? Do they think you are nuts, or are they supporting you and like the idea?
They don't know anything yet.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's quite common when you are writing. Now I'm open to you and for the rest of the world also, of course. But when you're writing something, you want to keep the idea intact. You want it for yourself until it's time to publish it.
Yes.
Then you can talk openly about it. Because if you talk about your idea for too many people, you get too much questions. You get questioned, and it's better to keep it for yourself.
Right.
I'm working like that, at least.
Everybody has an opinion, and not to the better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I think I told you the same happened when we started the podcast and stuff. People were like, "Yeah, you're watering down too much by letting in too many guests from different themes, different topics." And I was like, "Yeah, but AJ and I, we are inviting people that we like and what they do. And it doesn't really matter if it's retro only or if it's new games or not about games." At all. So it's good that you try to not get too much influence from outside.
Yeah, I think about the influence. I think many people have been influenced by the Commodore 64 and the early ages of the computers. For example, musicians and today graphicians and so on. So I think it's important to many people, even if they don't say it. I think what you're doing and searching people up and asking about these kind of things, you find this very topic as a foundation in what they are doing today. So yeah.
How about the details of the book? I mean, did you decide if you go black and white, without photos, with color photos? Do you have a limited publishing amount, or do you do what is something that is done a lot today? POD, publishing on demand.
Mm-hmm.
What is your plan?
My plan is my first book. I finally published it myself, and it is so it's, if you grab the book and look into it, it looks like any other book, and it looks like a real book because it's printed by a real printer company making many prints to other well-known publishers. I let the professional put the text down on the pages, and for me it was important to have a real book in your hands. I started to make a voice version as well, but I got maybe 100 pages into the story, and then I decided not to finish the 600 pages. So I wanted to start writing new stuff.
So it doesn't have an ISBN number and so on. So it's not officially registered worldwide. Or
my first book is.
It is? Okay.
Yeah. So it's a real book. It's registered.
Okay. Oh, nice.
But the next one, I wanted to be published at a regular publisher in Sweden. I want the professionals to have a look at the text and get their help, because it's quite costly. If you do it yourself, you have to either you pay us for it, or you make some work yourself with the risk that the quality goes down a little bit. But of course, it will be fully your own product.
Well, as I said, the alternative would be publish on demand, which is like not everything is on your own, but it's not costly also. It's kind of the middle way, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I will do if nobody wants to publish it and I have to publish it myself. Maybe print on demand, or I haven't decided yet.
I mean, what I read from Amazon, it's like it's printed when people order it. So it's basically you only have the costs of what is required, and I guess that is like you have to pay two copies for the library in Sweden and for the international library. I guess that's a requirement. Otherwise, your book may not be published. But I guess apart from that, there is not really any requirement. I guess like with 200 euros, you should be good, whatever that is in Swedish crowns. But I guess you can buy pretty cheap. Of course, except you are totally broke, but I guess that's not the case. But I mean, I spoke to many people, and people, especially pioneers like former workers from Commodore and so on. They don't like the idea of ebooks and publish on demand. And AJ and we saw a lot of book projects in the last year that failed because they made an Indiegogo Kickstarter and they didn't gather enough interest, and that is sad.
The whole publish on demand thing is one of those things that is like a double-edged sword, because back in the day when you would write a book, you'd submit it to a publisher, and more than often it would get turned down. Right. And so now it's like, now you can publish on demand, get it on Amazon, and people can download it or print it or whatever, and anyone can do it. So before, it was difficult to get your stuff out there. Now it's easy to get your stuff out there, but we're inundated in a sea of crap because anyone can do anything.
Yeah, because if somebody is publishing your book for you, I mean professionals, then you know as a buyer that it has at some point of quality.
Right.
It's not always perfect. It's not, but at least you should be able to read it. And
there's been editors. It's not just some guy going, "I will publish this now." Click.
Yeah.
I've proofread it once. Everything looks good. Done.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a pity, because there are good books, I think, made in that way, but they will disappear in this whole ocean of crap, of course.
Yeah.
So in that case, you need somebody to talk to say to people, "Hey, I've read a book. It's self-published and it's really good." Because I think you need voices out there to tell about your book. If I say it myself, nobody will listen.
Right.
Somebody else has to say it.
Word of mouth. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And that's up to nearly all writers. They cannot talk for themselves. They need others to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so as I said, you want to go by a
publicist
Swedish
and an agent and all that stuff.
Right.
I'm not on terms with my publicist and agent anymore.
Right.
Call me. Sorry.
So you said you tried to find a publisher on the Swedish market to publish your book, probably both the Swedish and the English version.
Yeah, if the publish the Swedish one, hopefully they are interested to publish it in more international context.
Are you writing it in Swedish or are you writing it in English?
Swedish.
Okay.
It's more natural for me to use my native language.
Mm-hmm.
I have in mind that if I have to publish it by myself, maybe I should make a translation, but it will be not so natural for an English native or American native to read it, I think.
I know. One of my current gigs right now, or one of my volunteer things, is helping to clean up an English translation of a book that was written in Germany. And there's a lot of it's hard for me as a writer to not be like, this whole section doesn't need to be there. It's aside from the fact that it doesn't that the order of words and stuff is not exactly the same, and it doesn't directly translate over, is the fact that my own brain goes into quality control, and I'm like, this is exposition. We don't need this. Change this. And I start doing editing as well, and I can't. That's not what I'm here to do. But
and that is why the translator of the book shouldn't be a book author himself, probably.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
So, but I mean, nowadays you have a lot of options. I mean, personally, for our magazine, I sometimes hire people from freelancer platforms, for a cheap amount of money, but anyway, good quality. So there are a lot of options nowadays,
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, so tips is very important, of course. If you know people who know Swedish and good English. So, yeah.
I know good English, but I don't know Swedish. But also, you're going to get notes like we don't need this part.
Right.
So don't send it to me to edit.
Right. Well,
terrible with that.
While talking to you, I wouldn't actually say that your English sounds like off or not fluent. But of course, I'm not a native English speaker. I can't really judge. I guess AJ is the better judge about that.
I don't have any problem with anybody's English here.
You see, that's his attitude. For him, everybody speaks well, but that doesn't help.
No, not everybody speaks well. There's some people where I got to sit there and I'll be like, and there's sometimes when y'all say something, I'll be like, pardon? Like, what? What was that again? Because it just doesn't make any sense. But no, generally speaking, if I can understand what you're saying, then
that's nice.
Yeah.
I will definitely be your customer when the book is out. Let me know. I will buy the English copy. And actually, we should meet again after the book is published and talk about it, how it turned out.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, I keep you updated.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, do so.
Yeah.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice.
Where can people go to find out about this? Like, do you have a website up for it, or is there anything like where people can learn about the process in the game?
Pardon?
Like, is there? Yeah. Okay. The Instagram, is there a website up for it, or is there anything? Or do you have a personal author website?
Yeah, I do have a website. Still no information about this book yet.
Okay.
But my official website is plutoniumpoodle.se. It is what it sounds like. It's plutonium poodle.
Right.
In Swedish. I can hand you over a link to it.
Sure, do that.
We'll put that in the podcast description. So you can see it as well.
Yeah. And if you want to follow this project with the detective game and novel, it's only on Instagram so far. So
nice. Yeah, I got the account because you were liking our last guest, so you are easy to find. I know how to find you. Wonderful.
I prepared something for you.
Nice.
Okay. Are you ready, guys?
Sure.
Yes.
No prestige in this, okay? But I have prepared a little quiz. Are you ready?
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah.
A Commodore 64 game quiz.
Oh,
all right.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
Should be maybe... we can start with this one. It's better. Okay, what do we have here?
Well, Bruce Lee, I guess.
Bruce Lee, correct. Very good. Okay, this one you should... should manage this one. This is actually a bookmark I made with a game theme.
Impossible Mission.
Yeah.
Or some of the runners from Summer Games.
Yeah, exactly. They reused the same sprite for Summer Games. Yeah.
It did. Okay.
It did. Yeah. It was the same graphic artist.
Yeah.
I didn't know. It's Impossible Mission.
Yes.
Okay, next one.
Ooh, Oh, I don't remember that one. HAU?
I know it, but I can't think of what it is.
By Ultimate, play the game.
What?
Ultimate, the company Ultimate, play the game. Okay, Dragon Skull.
Oh, okay. No, I never played. I know this. I have heard the name, but never played it. Okay.
Okay. It was not an easy one.
I played it once or twice, but not enough to remember it.
Yeah, and this one is quite actual. Scary, isn't it?
Ooh.
It's only a cropped part of the game, but it's a fuss bomb on the loose in the United States. Agent USA.
Oh.
Okay. Okay.
I realize, but this one it's not easy. This one then. Already mentioned it.
Whistball, of course.
Yeah, Whistball.
It's the favorite, definite favorite.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
We're not doing well at this, Jörg. We need to pick up our game.
It's not easy. It's very, very cropped things. Okay, what is this thing? Should know about this. Should look like this.
Well, that's a question.
64.
Commodore 64. Yeah, that's all, guys.
I don't have the bread bin. I've got the newer one.
The 86 model.
Yes.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, I actually got the C64 from Retro Games the other week.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, the C64.
The C64, yeah.
Yeah.
I tried it only once so far, but I'm happy that somebody has done it.
Right. Yeah.
Nintendo made their own version, of course, but they have the resources.
You're right.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, thanks to me, they fixed some sound issues in the games of.
Thanks to you, I believe I had something to do with that. It was because I was the one that pointed out what exactly the problem was.
Exactly, but I was the one who was so nerve-wracked about it. Because actually the first versions of the firmware of the C64 Mini had the game title music started in the middle rather than the beginning, and that really pissed me off.
It's because I just did a capture of the ROM while it was running and stuck it in the system, so it just picks up where it left off. So it's middle of the interest.
Right. And after a year, the project manager sent me an SMS like, "Oh, by the way, we decided to fix it in the next firmware update." Like, wow, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, they listen to you. That's good.
It took a year, but yeah, well, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
So have a good evening. You too.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.